It has been a weekend for the ages for JMU football. They are your 2025 Sunbelt champions. We have a new coach, and we are college football playoff bound. What a weekend. We're going to get to all of it tonight. A weekend that was filled with pictures and images that will last a lifetime. Just a special weekend. And tonight's show is really all about that. We want to celebrate everything that occurred and celebrate the many images that have flooded all of our social media feeds. Again, just an incredible time. And we're glad that you're going to spend a little bit more time with us today because we were on earlier this morning. So a jam-packed show. We're going to get right to our sponsors. Skyline Financial Partners. Remember that you can empower your family for lasting financial success at skylinefinancialpartners.com. Champions Dry Bourbon, the best way to celebrate responsibly during an incredible weekend is a little bit of Champions Dry Bourbon. Remember, every purchase that you make helps support student athletes and our pursuit of champions. You can find a bottle at an ABC store near you at abc.virginia.gov. Where's Woody? Remember that for 48 hours after every Sound Off broadcast, you can enter promo code SOUNDOFF25 for 25% off. Purple Nation now with stores in Northern Virginia, the west end of Richmond, Midlothian, and at the beach. Thank you to Carol Bonassi for her efforts during Diggin' Dukes to help generate some additional support. And I know she is well underway in helping many people across the JMU Nation, including the Sound Off team, find hotels out in Portland. So thank you to Carol. A shout out to the Dead Meat Society. Congratulations to JMU Cheerleading. You were our tailgaters of the week. And remember that you can join the movement for grilling enthusiasts at deadmeatsociety.com. Shout out to Shoker and Associates. Joe's going to be making his way out to Oregon for the game. Look forward to seeing him there. Outdoor Kitchen Creations, perfect time of year to learn more about how you can take your outdoor kitchen to the next level. Learn more at backyardtrends.com. And then finally, Valley Road Vineyards, the official Virginia farm winery of JMU Sound Off. Next time you're on I-64 between Harrisonburg and Richmond, tell them you heard about the winery from JMU Sound Off, and you get 50% off your wine flight. And remember them for your events. You can learn more at valleyroadwines.com. And with that, now we're going to have a message from the late, great Mike Leach that we think is very applicable to today's discussion.
I mean, how is it possible that you could actually have a playoff format in college football? Well, gee, I don't know. How about high school from a major state? Let's say Texas, Florida, or California. Let's see how they do it. Okay, let's see. These guys, they win a certain number of games. They have a qualification. Okay, now, boom, they're in the playoffs. But they don't have just 2 or 4 teams or something. Hell no, because they want everybody to have fun and enjoy this playoff system. Okay, now the suspense is really starting to get thick because, Division 2 might do it differently. No, in fact, they don't. They do it exactly, boys and girls, like Division 3 does. And then now they've changed the initials because in this era of political correctness, they love to change initials and make it proper to say things one way instead of another. And I forget what the initials is. But then they go to 1AA. Okay, at 1AA. How do they do it? 1AA. 1AA. I mean, because that's getting closer to us, and we're really sophisticated because we're major 1A. How do they do it in 1AA? You know what? They have a playoff format, and they play it, and they figure it out. And then, okay. Well, they're all below us. Okay, what about above us? The NFL. And everybody, that just makes you feel good to roll those initials off your. It's like Huckleberry Finn said. Some days I just have to swear to get a good taste in my mouth. Okay, so then NFL. Now that makes my mouth feel good because that's the best and they're the top. Let's see here. How did they figure out their champion? Well, they in fact organize a playoff system. And how many teams are in there? A hell of a lot more than 4. And then they sort it all out. And then they have one battle after the next. And at the end, guess what? They sort out a champion. And it's called the Super Bowl. And there's not interest diminished because people are captivated by the playoffs. And the biggest sporting event every year in the history of the world is the Super Bowl. Okay, any questions?
A message for the ages, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Taylor Atkins because I know that was your idea. I thought it was pretty perfect to start tonight's show.
Well, I just thought it was proper to start tonight's show because what I still can't understand is why the postseason format of every league, of every division, of every sport in every country in the world is not controversial until you get to FBS football. And we've talked a little bit about this. They have tried to manipulate this playoff from day one as much as they could. They started out with 6 conference champions getting a spot, and they said leaving one for the G5 when you had P5 and the Pac-10, Pac-12 folded. So he said, all right, the G5 is going to get 2 spots. No, we're going to remove one of those so that we still only limit you to 1. Okay, well, that's fine. But we're still going to give a bye to the top 4 conference champs. Yeah, of course we will, until Boise State does it. And last year, Boise State got a bye, and they said, well, we can't let that happen again. So let's change the rules this year. It's just the top 4 teams, not the top 4 conference champs, top 4 teams. But we'll still stick to the 5 conference champs. Well, the ACC, they were terrible this year. And the only thing worse than the ACC was their tiebreak format, because I'm in full agreement with Miami. They should have been in that game, but they weren't. And so this is where I have no sympathy, is because this P4 cartel that has manipulated and designed this playoff to get exactly what they want continues to be overridden by the JMUs of the world, the Tulanes of the world. And so I the last 24 hours, I love being the villain. I love being one of the most, it's not even that we're the most hated program. It's just everyone is, the envy is just oozing out of everyone across the country. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world right now.
We broke college football. I'm here for it. And with that, Michael and Afton going to join the discussion. Afton, I'm going to go to you first. You have a very special guest who I knew, as a part of a celebration tonight, would have something to say that's probably going to inspire and make some people around JMU Nation feel pretty happy tonight. He's well underway in preparations for the trip out to Portland. Barry Sotoman, the floor is yours, sir.
So yeah, I'm going to try to keep this. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can.
But it's okay.
In 2000, no, back in like 26 years ago, do you guys remember? Michael probably wasn't even born yet when Virginia Tech went to the national championship and played Florida State, and I was on the Tech bandwagon. It was so much fun going to Blacksburg, and probably went to 6 or 7 games over a 3-year span. And they were in that top 5 in that national championship conversation every year. And I looked at a few of my friends and I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but why not us? And what are you talking about? We're not even in Division 1A. I said, well, I don't know. Tech really wasn't all that 20 years ago. So why not us in 20 years? Let's go get a bunch of season tickets. At worst case scenario, we hang out on a beautiful fall day. We get some college buddies together. We sit and pee a lot. We have a couple drinks, and we get to catch up with people that we wouldn't see otherwise. And that's what we did. And we got season tickets in 2003. And we went 6-6 that year with a pretty bad loss to end the year against Northeastern. And I looked at my buddy Spanky, and I said, we're going to win the national championship next year. And your buddy Jimmy Irwin wrote a book about it called Midnight in Chattanooga. I don't need to talk about what happened there. And in that Delaware no flags game, we organized a bunch of us to sit together in what was then called like Section 11 or something like that of the old Bridgeforth. And we got the ticket office to put 20 of us together in the same section. It was all the way down like inside the 5-yard line. And we said, that was the beginning of what became Section 109 today. And over the years, we've had more and more people come in for the fun. Not necessarily for this great football product, but for the fun and for connecting with your college buddies that some of my friends I wouldn't have kept up with if it wasn't for this. Made new friends, and our product got better. In 2008, I told Hill Mallory, who played golf for JMU, Hill, if you're listening, or any of his JMU golf buddies, I said, in 2008, they're going to form a college football playoff. In the next 10 years, they're going to have 8 teams. I said 8, so I missed it. It was 4 and then 12. And they're going to let one of the lower conferences get in. And by then we'll be in one of those conferences. And he literally told me he's crazy. By the way, he's now a club season ticket holder. He's got kids at JMU. Like, he's all in. Fast forward to 2017, 2018, I said, we're going to go to the FBS and we're going to be in a college football conversation in the first few years. And all these things keep happening. So I'm still sitting here today while we think we're here, right? We're actually not. I'm still saying, why not us be a national champion in the next 15 years?
Next 1 year.
I believe, okay, we're going to look crazy after me. I believe the trajectory that we've been on for now 20 years is not even, we're not even halfway through where we can be. The potential we have is tremendous. That's why we get all the national attention. That's why people feel so connected to this place. And I believe that the leadership and the administration we have right now with Matt Ronan, President Jim, and the things that we're doing, I believe is going to take us. And what we've done now with our new coach hire, with getting Billy Napier, what I've already seen and heard some of the things Napier's doing to make sure we're going to continue that success next year. We're not at the top of the mountain yet. That we are just still climbing it, and it's awesome. So that's what I got to say.
Well, Barry, before we give some others a chance to comment, your son has been sending us videos of you this weekend, and I just have to say, like, all jokes aside, like, we can make fun of all of us. I mean, I was on my couch freaking out. We've got Taylor doing things, Michael. All of us had our moments in the last 24 hours, but the one constant has been just a genuine sense of joy in the way. So many of us who bought into this program before it was cool. I think of the Eric Pitzers, the Brandon Sweeneys of the world, who were out in some of the early tailgates when at times it felt like there might only be 20, 25 other people to join us, are all having a little bit of an extra smile this weekend. And I knew yours would be about as wide as anyone's. So I'm just, it makes me happy that we're all getting finally to, again, not reach the mountaintop, but to experience something that I believe is just getting started, because we've got 12 more days of this now before we go out to Oregon and experience what's going to be an insane atmosphere. So thanks, buddy. All right.
I'm gonna let you guys go. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking.
It's okay. Michael, we were on almost 24 hours ago, FaceTime.
Almost.
Experiencing it together, the highs and lows of it. The beginning of the fourth quarter was looking really good.
I think we've had like 4 shows since the last time we should have had a show, by the way.
It was looking really good. Then it wasn't looking so good. And then obviously the rush of emotions that happened afterwards. And then we waited for noon today. Thought it would happen right off the top. It did not. Drags out a little bit, but we all get the message that JMU goes to the college football playoffs. You're the only one really today. I haven't had a chance to hear what went through your mind. I know you were out experiencing some Bodo's Bagels. You were at a show with your wife pushing some plants, but what went through your mind? And then I'm sure your phone blew up just like everybody.
Oh, man. I mean, what a surreal last, I don't even know, 18 hours or so to us. For those listening, I called John in the middle of the third quarter because I was like, I can't do this alone. I need to talk to someone as my wife goes to bed, as my mother-in-law went to bed. I was like, I need to talk to someone. So we FaceTimed for a good hour and a half, just going through it together, the highs and lows, and the 96-yard drive and 98 seconds that left all of us wondering what the hell's going on. It was crazy to our After Dark episode. But today was a phenomenal day. I'll be honest, I got emotional a little bit when I saw, I was at a holiday market. My wife sells houseplants on the side, so shout out Crozet Plant Social, follow them on Instagram. We're at a holiday market in the Wolf Factory in Charlottesville, and I was like, I got to pay attention. So I grabbed my phone. I'm sitting in the corner. I've got YouTube TV on. I've got it on my ear, and I'm just listening go from number 1 all the way down to number 12. And to see that James Madison logo pop up and to see the players just ecstatic and knowing that, like, we're here. And I remember, guys, like, I know Barry had his perspective that he just mentioned. I got really into JMU football, I think in 2010 when we lost to Maryland 38-35 in overtime after we should have won that game because we were throwing it all over. And I remember thinking, I was like, that's, by the way, where the prevent offense thing started, because Mickey just tried to run the ball. And that's when I got really interested. So I started looking into the players that we got and the recruiting profiles, and we were beating out Maryland and sometimes a Penn State offer and sometimes a a Boston College, a UConn offer for players. I go, we've got real players at JMU, 3-star guys, 2-star, sometimes a 4-star guy. And I was thinking, same thing on Barry. Why not us? You saw that graphic. Indiana has 5 blue chip players on that roster versus Ohio's 67 blue chip players. How many 5-stars and 4-stars? And they took the Big Ten championship. And obviously some of those guys were FCS players. And to what Taylor mentioned, you know why everyone's pissed off? Because FCS not real football. And you know what? G6 football is not real football as well. And I'll take that. And it just hit, all this stuff just hit me at once. And just to see that James Madison logo, why not us? We have the players, we have the administration and staff. I don't know. It's just a surreal feeling for this stupid, obnoxious, energetic 2012 grad that's seeing all of his dreams come true.
And Afton, after the Sun Belt Championship game in Bridgeforth, saw some great images of you doing some snow angels in the confetti, which is pretty awesome, courtesy of Jay Coons, who sent them over to you. Just your mindset over the last 48 hours since everything that happened inside Bridgeforth Stadium, a game that was, first of all, an incredible atmosphere, but also truly just a great game that we kind of talked about before the game. Thought that Troy would give us a little bit more fits than maybe the score indicated or what the spread was, but their defense was elite going in, and that's something we talked about during our preview. But to have it end the way it did, with some pretty spectacular individual performances, and then to have the celebration that we had on the field at Bridgeforth to lead into what happened next this weekend, pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, so starting Friday night, it was a great game, great atmosphere. Started a little bit slow, but it's okay. Even though as a JMU fan, it was pretty nerve-wracking for 3.5 quarters. It was a fun game to be at. It was a fun game to watch. Great atmosphere. Students were going crazy. It was great to see at the end the Zoe touchdown to kind of pull away, and then the Sayer West strip sack, Drew Spinagati scoop and scored, just cherry on top. I kind of wish we scored again. We had a 1st and goal and we kneeled. I don't know why. I just wanted to score again. And I finally got my wish, got to rush the field. It's kind of obviously I wanted to win. To rush the field, you have to win. To rush the field, you have to win. But that's all I wanted. I just wanted to rush the field when we won. So I was like, when we won, I was looking over. I was like, are they rushing? Are they rushing? The second the students started rushing, I was going to start rushing. So then after we won, rushing the field was awesome. But now I was like, this is just the start of the weekend. We still have the Duke UVA game. We still have conference championship Saturday. We still have selection Sunday. So this Duke UVA game, we had Chris Pace, Brian Dixon, a.k.a. Spanky, my dad. And I'm not kidding you when I say this. There are videos of it. We had the tarps off in the 4th quarter, and we were trying to disrupt the snap. I think it worked from here in Richmond. We were waving our shirts up and down. We were jumping up and down, making noise. We had the 3rd down bells going every 3rd down. It was crazy in our house. It was like Bridgeforth Stadium in our house. Our nerves after the 96-yard touchdown drive really started.
Pride. Yeah,
it got real nerve-wracking. But then we went to overtime. A lot of questionable. I'm not going to say good or bad. I'm going to say questionable calls on that 96-yard touchdown drive. But it went to overtime. All the momentum was lost, but Manny Diaz pulled some stuff out of his pocket on 4th and goal from the 1, made us feel a little better about ourselves. And me and my dad were saying it. We thought UVA was a smart school, but instead they wanted to have a roughing the passer, put him back at the 40, and then the smart school continues to do a flea flicker in the double coverage. I love to see that. I said it yesterday. Out of all 136 FBS teams to save our season and put us in the playoffs, I would have wanted no one else than UVA to lose a football game. It was so awesome. And then after we won, I kind of thought we were just in, but the nerves really started creeping up the suspense. They kept talking about Miami, Notre Dame, and Bama. I don't know why.
The graphic on the side had me worrying because it felt like they were setting the stage for something.
It did when they had the 6 reporters and they had the bullet points for Duke. It got me nervous because the way she was talking, the way she was kind of taking little shots at JMU, the way Manny Diaz took a couple shots at us, I was like, got a little nervous, but just the sigh of relief seeing us at the 12 seed, having a chance to go into Osmond Stadium and shock the world. You can ask for nothing better. There's nothing better than to go into one of the powerhouses of college football and try to win a college football playoff game. Well,
and in this year where I feel like JMU has hasn't missed in terms of their ability to orchestrate and put on a show, and both on and off the field. Shout out to JMU for, in my opinion, orchestrating the best reactions shot. All the other programs sat there, what you expect to see in the chairs, everybody's clapping. And what does JMU do? They put on a performance. The streamers are flying. It's an incredibly beautiful visual. And for me, I thought that was just the perfect illustration of everything has gone right for this program from day one. Really spectacular stuff. Taylor, I think you're on mute.
I am. I love how JMU portrayed it, but I got a bone to pick with ESPN. I don't know if you saw when they were going through the teams, they're like, they had the person at the reporter at Alabama, the reporter at Duke, and, that little block of information at the bottom left corner of every reporter where it was like Alabama, big win here. This is their ranking, And they had all these like really cool stats for the teams. Did you see what they did for JMU?
Pizza party.
It really pissed me off.
Pizza party.
It was Wayne Knight. Not Wayne Knight had 200 yards of rushing, was the MVP of the Sun Belt Championship game. Wayne Knight and Student. This is the 3 points they put for JMU. Wayne Knight and Students rushed the quad. Bob Chesney's going to UCLA. JMU had a pizza party. Like, if that's not the biggest middle finger to, and John, you and I talked a little bit about this, even how they kind of covered and portrayed the in-game stuff of the Sun Belt Championship. It seemed like ESPN was kind of going out of their way to almost portray JMU as more small time than what it is, which, to be fair, this is kind of the bed they've made and that they got to sleep in, is they've continued to paint these poor little G5 programs. And again, like Michael said, these poor little G5 programs, they keep taking all of our coaches, they keep taking all of our players, and we continue to have success in the postseason. I've referenced that 4-5 record against the P4 in the NY6 games, but they portrayed the G5 as a certain level of football. And then when these results come, and we've won them not only fair and square, but jumped over through every hoop and obstacle they've thrown at us, this is their mess they have to clean up.
And Taylor,
right?
They could have said 6 second half shutouts, right? Allowing, 5 touchdowns in the second half all year. Number 6 in the country in point margin victory. Holding the first 6 opponents under 300 yards of offense. They could have said anything, but they threw the pizza party out there. And I knew when you started talking to, I knew exactly what you were talking about.
And one of our 3 big points of the whole season is your coach is going somewhere else. Mind you, I saw someone post on this today that of all the conference champions in FBS, JMU has the 4th strength of record among all conference champions, with I think the second to bottom last is Duke. So there were so many statistics they could have put up there. I think we're top 15 in both defense and offensive categories of multiple things. It was insulting to see that. And I said that was deliberate and intentional.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we talked about, right? It's like selective memory. People forget what they want to forget. And yes, strength of schedule sucks, but you play who you play. Right. And you look at the strength of record, the Massey ratings, the FPI ratings, the statistics, it, right? Like it all. I mean, it's just like, let's just look at the one thing where we're faulty on. And it's really frustrating, but I'll tell you what, I don't know if y'all had a chance to do it. Dave Rigger did about a 5-minute interview with Chesney following some of the comments. It's one of the only pieces of content I actually listened to today. And, Rigger's like, we're excited. We're part of the big boys of college football. We're going to go play the big boys. And the end of the interview, Chesney, although he's on his way to UCLA, goes, "Hey, you better start talking about JMU as one of those big boys too." And that's how he ended the podcast, ended the interview. And I thought it was fantastic. And it was like, exactly, like, let's stop separating, these programs and call it what it is. We deserved our right to be there. These players went 12-1. These players,
and as Michael has pointed out too, we're 6th in the country in scoring margin. So when it's like, man, if we had played JMU's schedule, we would have beat them all by 40. Yeah, so did we. I mean, if you compare some of the head-to-head results of the Coastal Carolina game, we beat them by more than what UVA did. We've already talked about Washington State till we're blue in the face. I mean, again, it's not like we're scraping by these teams by 2 or 3 points. And again, that Old Dominion win that everyone kept, making fun. One of the Old Dominion accounts actually posted a very good point. They said, folks, we were 2 wins away from the college football playoff ourselves. And they're not wrong. Old Dominion, I know Virginia Tech wasn't a great team this year, but they gave them I think it was their second worst loss of the year. So I'm tired of the comments that seem to make JMU as some second-rate FCS program that's not going to come within 40 points of these schools. I mean, and John, I knew we were going to cover this at some point, so I might as well rail off all this.
There's no structure. Can I lead into what you're going to say?
Go ahead.
I want to lead it because I want to set you up. I'm going to throw a softball toss because for me, we've been very deliberate in putting out on our account as much as possible, saying don't let the comments that are coming from the predictable sources rob 1 ounce of joy from you from what has happened this weekend. But on this platform, let us be the defenders of the program, because whether it's Danny Cannell, whether it's David Pollack, whether it's Nick Saban, whether it's multiple personalities from Barstool, I've seen comments ranging from this game's going to be boring, they have no chance, just wait until JMU's offensive line experiences a Power 4 defensive line.
They look like teenagers.
They're going to look, and it's all meant to be dismissive to the program, for starters, and it is once again meant to protect Power 4 teams, because remember, when a Tulane or JMU robs or steals, it's very deliberate choice of language. They are trying to be hyperbolic in their presentation of the facts so that they can once again change the system, whether they tried to do it almost during season or they're going to change it at the end of the season. And now you heard Saban say, well, we've got to have this new set of criteria that will, maybe it's Sagarin or it's ranking, whatever it is. And they're not looking at what those numbers would tell you today. And then what's going to happen the next time JMU smashes through that glass ceiling? They're going to try to change it again. And Taylor, I think you pulled some examples, though, of where there have been blowouts, not between just Power 4 schools, but for teams at the top of the Power 4. So please offer some.
Yes, I'm going to take off my purple tinted sunglasses here for a minute. Objectively, we're a 20, was it 20 and a half, whatever. Let's call it a 20-point spread. So that is what the unbiased, the objective prediction of what JMU. So let's just go with that 20-point spread. Let's say, I think JMU's going to keep it closer, but let's say it's a 20-point loss. There have been 8 playoff games in the last 4 years. Most of those playoff games taking place when there's only 4 teams, not even a 12-team playoff. There's been 8 games that have been more than a 20-point blowout. So for me, if we lose by 20, I would say we're par for the course for some of these games. BYU, I mentioned this, I was going to say last night, I guess it's this morning. I mentioned that, BYU and Texas Tech, BYU lost both games by more than 20 points. Texas, they lost their game to Georgia by 25. Also, Texas, no one's talking about this. That 2-10 UTEP team they played, it was they beat them by 17. The Duke comments about either Duke or UVA should be in the playoff, one of those. The UVA, we've gone over this. I mean, they went to overtime with a 5-7 FSU team. They went to overtime with a Louisville team. They went to overtime with a really bad UNC team. They lost to a Wake Forest team. They lost to NC State. I'm sorry, they did beat Wake Forest. I got on a roll there, but they lost to that Duke team. And the other thing that I don't think anyone's talking about, we've seen already today that there's teams opting out of bowls. Notre Dame being the most prolific one. I think the next thing you're going to have to start talking about is teams. Do they even play a conference championship game? Miami got to sit at home last night and not risk another loss. If Miami plays that championship game yesterday instead of UVA or Duke and they get another loss, they're not in the playoff. Oregon's another great example. Oregon got to sit at home while Indiana and Ohio State got to battle it out. And I think the greatest example of this that happened back, I think in 2017, 2018, when Auburn and Georgia, this is back in the 4-team playoff, Auburn and Georgia played for the SEC championship while Alabama sat at home. Auburn lost. Alabama got bumped into that 4th playoff seed. Auburn went home. Auburn then, famously lost to UCF in UCF's undefeated season where they claimed that national championship. But, this thing where teams are starting to sit out bowl games, prolific major bowl games, you're going to start having people question whether they should even have a conference championship. And I said at the beginning, I love that this has almost broken college football. There are people scrambling on what to do next, what changes they have to make next year, also that they can continue to keep this powerful cartel together. But again, change after change after change after change. Tulane, JMU, whoever's next, we've continued to jump through every hoop that they've given us, and we've earned this spot.
And don't let anybody take it away from you. And more importantly, you know who's not listening is Coach Chesney and the players. They have been locked in and dialed in all season. Let's be honest, we're an underdog going into this, but we have played the role of underdog so well as JMU in years past, and we've always, as a program, played better when we have a chip on our shoulder and when people are saying, "Hey, this is when you're finally going to peak." So again, we bring all this up. You're going to only hear this noise increase as you get to Monday, when pundits start posting their Monday podcasts and they start posting their content as they go throughout the week. It's going to get louder. But remember, this program, this institution has never bought into what the pundits have said, because if we had listened, we'd likely still be in FCS. We wouldn't even be in this conversation. We've always pushed forward. That's the mentality we should have as fans as you go through the next 12 days. Find every outlet you can to just allow yourself to enjoy this run and keep this going. Guys, I did want to put a little more structure to this discussion as we go towards the rest of what's happened this weekend. I found myself just stepping back for a second to say it's crazy. There's so many things I could cite that I feel like we haven't even had a chance to talk about yet, whether it's the snowballs that occurred on the field, and we don't need to dwell on that. That's a moment that occurred this weekend. We had, oh, by the way, the official announcement of a head coach coming to Harrisonburg and Billy Napier that will be announced Wednesday. The sea and the kind of the pace of information coming through the program has been unbelievable. And I'm just curious how all of you, because I know while it's been a weekend full of just incredible moments of joy and anxiety, it's been exhausting and there's a lot coming down the pipe as well. So Michael, I'll go to you. Just how have you processed just this range of emotions? Because you could see it, Coach, I would say Coach Houston. That's how tired I am. Coach Chesney said, we've all been through a lot, whether it's making the announcement you're leaving, making the decision, and now being thrust into the pinnacle of the college football world at the same time. It's wild stuff.
Well, John, I appreciate your confidence in me, but I think you mentioned processing. I don't think I've processed any of it. I think it's been a wild ride from what is it? We hopped on a podcast. Was it Wednesday when we saw the Billy Napier news break out? We had the conference championship, like Afton said, on Friday, Saturday. Now it's Sunday with all the craziness. I don't think it's hit me. I don't think I've had the time for it to hit me. All I know is that all of our phones have been blowing up. I have family members reach out. I have people reach out that I haven't talked to in a while that know that I'm a JMU fan, go, oh my gosh, JMU's going to the playoffs. Like, what does this mean? Like, how do they do it? And then it's also hilarious because there's so many people out there that have no idea how the playoff system even works. Oh, why didn't Miami or why didn't Notre Dame get in? Why didn't Duke get it? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Why did JMU? They have no idea. And like Taylor mentioned, right, it's all to protect, right, the P4 cartel, and so that, college football will only be referred to as Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, and Georgia, because at the end of the day, it sounds like that's the only real college football out there. It's annoying. And what I hate is, I saw the Notre Dame post, right? Taylor mentioned it. Why are we allowing this to happen, right? Why are we allowing programs to just skip out on conference championships, skip out on bowls, and go, oh my gosh, now we have to change the system because Notre Dame is putting up a fit? Like, I just think, like, going back to, life isn't fair. Just because it doesn't go your way in the narrative doesn't mean that you just quit, right? You have to figure it out. And at the end of the day, JMU players, the program did exactly what they had to do to put themselves in this position. And I think I tweeted about it. I hate this narrative of it's our fault that we're in the playoffs. Like, why are we even part of the conversation when these kids work their asses off to go 12-1 and do everything they can? And what did Chesney say on stage? This team has won in a variety of different ways. They've won in shootouts. They've won in slugfests. They've won in all different ways. And, Taylor mentioned UVA had to have a safety at the end of the game to beat that Washington State team. And that was a team that was, literally seconds away from taking our spot in the playoffs. One thing also is annoying. I tell all the fans, when I feel like anytime JMU gets brought up in this situation, and obviously we're associated with UVA now with the loss, don't let a person's response go, oh man, like UVA blew it, or like, oh, UVA lost, or wow, like, Indiana's going to win it all anyway. Like, don't take that as a response. Like, this team earned it. Like, people should be saying, oh, congratulations. Wow, I can't believe JMU made it. Like, that should be the response. Don't let anyone else second guess you or dwindle your joy, like John had mentioned. Like, wear it with pride. So I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I think I'm processing it on the fly, John, on the show. It's surreal. It's surreal.
Afton.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of piggyback what Taylor was talking about, the Power 4 Group of 5. The only thing, or there's multiple things, but the main thing to me that is like Power 4, why do you think you're so much better than Group of 5, is they'll be like, JMU, Tulane, you don't deserve to be in it. But then they'll take all the players. Let me take your coach. Let me take your players. We're going to make the playoffs with your coach. We're going to make the playoffs with your players. So why don't we deserve to be in it if it's our players and our coach, right? And then I'm going to kind of pick a bone with Manny Diaz here. He helped us out a lot. But he kept saying, he was taking shots at us. He was like, they don't have a power win. We have 7. Well, guess what, Manny Diaz? We don't play in a Power 4. We can't play more than 2 games. We only played 1. So, like, I'm sorry. You don't have 10 Sunbelt wins, do you? Oh, no. Like, I'm sorry. What else do you want us to do, right? And then at some point, Taylor talks about the 4 and 5 against the New Year's Six Bowls, right? At some point, when they built the structure of the playoffs, and you said Boise broke it, and Allison Tulane broke it, at some point, when are they not going to change it? Because they're going to realize, oh, the Group of 5 just deserves it. If they keep breaking our system, they just deserve it more than Notre Dame does. They just deserve it more than Bama does, because Bama lost 3 games, because Notre Dame lost head-to-head to Miami. That's not our fault. We didn't have anything. We didn't play in the Notre Dame-Miami game. It's Notre Dame's fault that they lost to Miami. It's Bama's fault they lost 3 games. They still got in. But it's still their fault that they were in the conversation. A lot of people were mad they still got in, right, after losing 3 games. And on top of all of this, you were just talking about the Texas Tech BYU game, that Texas Tech blew them out by 20-plus both times. You look at the Bama-Georgia game yesterday. Georgia won by 21 points. And so whenever people are going to sit back there and say, oh, JMU is going to lose by 20. Oh, well, Ole Miss is going to beat Tulane by 35 for a second straight time this year. Okay, what about the other 10 games in the playoffs that are all blowouts? It's not our fault that the other teams get blown out. It just happens to be that way. So don't blame it on us when we start winning and we take your spot because you weren't good enough, because you have a 5-loss team in the conference championship. It's not our fault.
Yeah, I mean, what is asked of G5 teams? I mean, there is no room for error. If you guys remember, go back to what was it? Week 2, we lost to Louisville. USF beat Florida. I mean, everyone's saying, game, set, match. USF is going to go to the playoffs barring any unforeseen circumstances, and JMU's pretty much out of it at that point. And, some things did have to go our way. A lot of things had to go our way. But, the room for error for these teams, we don't get the benefit of having 2 or 3 losses and still having a shot at it. And I don't see, again, I've brought up scoring margin. I think that strength of record metric, it exists for a reason. We're 18th in the country there. I just think it's there's this unfair, and I think the ignorance stems from, to be fair to a lot of these fans of more major programs, I think they just don't know what they don't know. I mean, they don't follow us in the same way I don't follow Elon or some FCS program. And I think they're arguing from a place of ignorance, because I have seen the fan bases and the programs that we have come up against and have learned to respect James Madison. I think, going back the last 10 years, when we were going into that West Virginia game with Signetti, when we were going to the NC State game, I think 2018, 2019, you'd go into those FBS message boards and you'd say, hey, this James Madison team, because they would look into us and they knew that there was something there. Going into this matchup with Oregon, I'm still going to say this, that these teams still have to score against us. And the way that we lit up Louisville, I mean, we held them 124 yards below their average. That's a Louisville team that average is coming from an entire season of playing P4 teams. And JMU held them to their second lowest of the season, 124 yards below their average. And all of these people, I think this is the biggest indicator for me, all of these people pointing to the lack of offensive production for JMU against Louisville have clearly not taken 30 seconds to Google the game, to Google the quarterback, to understand the rehab story of Alonzo Barnett and where he was at that point physically. I mean, I think we talked about it last night in our podcast, that I think it was the championship game on Friday was a year to the day that Alonzo is having ACL reconstruction surgery. So it's coming from a place of ignorance, which is where I want to give some grace on some of the things being said. And I think that just sets us up to go out there and shock the world, go out there and prove them who we are, why we're in this position. And at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw, that we compete with Oregon the same way most of the teams they played against this year did.
And I
Well,
don't
guys,
even that. I think that allows the team. I mean, you got to put this in their heads, right? Like, I know we've seen terms like house money and all this. Like, imagine how free this team can be across the next 12 days. Because, I mean, what do you hold back at this point? You know, this is the last time this group of men, these group of players and coaches will be together. This is the last hurrah. And you, no doubt, knowing Chesney, knowing how he treats these types of games, see what he did at Holy Cross versus the Yukons, the Armies, seeing what he did against Louisville. I mean, we had a trick play on the first play of the game versus Louisville, which we should have had. Like, that would have changed different. You know that he's going to rally this team. And he's been very upfront. He's been treating this program like men. He mentioned, I got to go to UCLA on Tuesday or Wednesday to do a press conference, and I'm going to come back and we got to prepare for this game. And so I just think, like, the sky's the limit in the sense of everyone thinks, oh, it's going to be a 30, 40-point game. Well, okay, if that's the expectation, anything we can do right now is not only in our control, but it's supposed to be better than what people expect. So let's control the controllables, throw every sort of stereotypical coach speak out there, and that's what this team is going to do. And then lastly, also, like, I think, like Taylor was mentioning, there's the whole thing about the P4 cartel and controlling the narrative and all that stuff. Like, you got to remember, 2015, no one said game day would be here, right? And then they came. 2017, they was, oh, they'll never come back. They came back. We move up to FBS. Why would they even see us again? They came back in 23. Oh, if we move up to FBS, we're going to be irrelevant. I love the college football playoffs. It's never going to happen again. I hate the bowl system. Look where we are. Every ceiling that we mentioned earlier in this call has been crashed, has been crushed, has been surpassed, and we find another jump off week over week, month over month, year over year. Like, it's just phenomenal to see, and seeing this happen in the last 10 years has made me very proud.
Well, and one thing I want to maybe go big picture on this is we talked a little bit about this last night, but whether it was 2015, we host game day against UR in our stadium, and I think I'll be guilty of saying I thought that was going to be peak JMU, and now we're going to be in the same tournament as Georgia and Alabama, and not Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State. These big pinnacle programs that in the era of playing the video game back when we were kids, you had to play them because you couldn't play at JMU. Where are your heads at about what this does for just the university pride perspective? Because I feel like every one of these major milestones we've had in the past has been the catalyst to bringing in not only new fans, new investment, new partners to the university, and now to bring up a term we've said a lot on the show, the alignment that is in place between our general manager, our president, and AD. There's incredible opportunities that are going to come with this birth to take not only this program to new heights, but the university as a whole. It feels like this is a moment for the school that I don't know where it's going to go from here, but it seems like it's going to be special.
I think, all the exciting milestones that we've had over the last few years, that first top 25 ranking, I think was pretty special for JMU fans, but for the external audience, it's like, well, I mean, a lot of people have been ranked top 25. Okay, fair. When we got our first bowl win, I think that was pretty special for JMU, but the external audience, a lot of people have won bowl games. Fair again. We got game day, right? That's a big deal. 3 times game day coming to JMU. Yeah, but a lot of people have game day. Okay. We've made the college football playoff. I mean, there's not a lot of people that have made the college football playoff. Granted, the 12-team format has only existed for 2 years, but, this is a position where I think it's safe to say that there's a lot of really good programs out there, programs that are going to have 8-9 win seasons over the next couple of years. They're going to spend tens of millions of dollars on their roster that are not going to get to the college football playoff. So this is kind of the first thing where I feel like it's been a successful milestone, but it's not like okay, JMU joins this elite group of dozens of other programs. We're in a position, we talked about it yesterday, last night, this morning. UVA, this was their second 10-win season in a 120 plus whatever history of their football program. This was arguably their best season of their program, minus that one. I mean, there were a couple other that could. I'm not a UVA fan, so I'm sure there's some UVA fans out there saying, "Well, it's not the best." But my point is, this is our 4th year in FBS. This has kind of become the norm, being ranked and being in this position. And I love that the AP poll came out today, and we were 19th, and UVA was 20th. So in UVA's ACC, all the money they have, their endowment, their history. I mean, they're the flagship school of the state. JMU's ahead. This is something special, and the next week and a half that we really have to kind of marinate in all of this and all the media attention that's going to come to JMU. This is a very small elite club of people that have achieved this.
Well, in the last 24 hours, you've had the governor-elect of Virginia. We've had the attorney general of Virginia. We've had, by the way, quote tweeting one of our tweets. That's crazy. We had Luis Lucas from the Senate in Virginia, House of Delegates, whichever. This is breaking through, as we said last night, to non-traditional venues. And I think that's where you're also going to see this week. This is going to be a talking point on non-sports related shows as well. And that just gets to the point of being a national model for an engaged university. As Michael put in our private chat, this is going to reach new fans that don't follow this program closely. And every time that's happened, whether it's the softball run that we all got to enjoy, whether it's our win in the NCAA basketball tournament, also a 12-5 win, by the way, over Wisconsin, it's been against the Big Ten schools. Chandler says it's led to the next big thing to happen to JMU, and the timing of this just feels really important with all of the changes that are likely about to happen to the college athletics landscape, whether it's further conference realignment, a dividing line, the facilities enhancements at JMU. All of our cards are turning over and they're all going in a direction that we want. And that feels really important at a time when we have board members, everyone else lining up and saying, we need to put our best foot forward. A spot in the college football playoff seems like the ultimate catalyst for what we need to happen at this time, and it's special stuff.
And I mentioned this right when I think 2023 was happening. We were, obviously Signetti moved on, and we were just getting the new president in, new AD, and just putting together things with the collective. And then this goes around. I think JMU right now is operating what I like to call in a period we're operating in a position of strength. Right. And I think all of this is teed up to when that happens, John, like what you had just mentioned, how do we make sure we are on the right side of that conversation? How do we make sure that we are on the right side of any sort of alignment talk, that we have opportunities in front of us, that we have options for, versus being pigeonholed because, number one, we're not being innovative, we're not being visionary, we're not being bold, we're being okay with okay, and we're pushing the limits. What John had mentioned earlier, part of JMU's strategic plan is their vision is to be the national model for the engaged university. And when you look at, 40,000 applicants last year, and I can imagine that's going to go even higher, Jeff Bourne's vision on this being the front porch of the university, athletics being the front porch of the university. You know how many people are probably Googling what a James Madison is somewhere in the Pacific Northwest that has never seen this before? Someone is doing that. And they're going, who in the world are the Phil Knight Ducks playing in 2 weeks? What is this James Madison? That's what's happening tonight.
Yeah, and I just got a text message from my former boss, by the way, who's a huge Florida State fan. As his diehard is cooked in his end, and he is so excited for JMU's run in the college football playoff that, like, I've got more texts from Bob Kelly, shout out if he's watching this, than some JMU fans. So that to me is like, this is breaking through in ways. The athletic director at the high school, Chandler, and I announced that, has texted me. Our former athletic director is also really dialed in on this. He was a VCU fan, no real connection to JMU. There are going to be JMU bandwagon fans so we spent a little bit of time talking about the hate that's going to come our way. I feel like that hate's going to cause a bunch of people to rally around this program, and we're suddenly going to have a bunch of people start to go, there's a lane to start to say, hey, if the whole college football world's going to start hating on JMU, we're going to back that train, and we're going to start. There's going to be a pretty cool thing we're going to see. I'm positive of it.
What we're responding to tonight a lot is the hate. The hate's going to be the loudest. I don't think it's the most. I don't think. we talked yesterday about the reason so many people have some affinity for Boise State, for Central Florida, for Cincinnati, for some of these schools, that it was because they were the giant killers. It was because they were the ones kind of against all odds, and they were overcoming them. So I think JMU it'd be funny to see one of those maps about who's cheering for who against Oregon JMU, because I would imagine a lot of the country is going to be cheering for JMU in a couple of weeks, because everyone loves to see that upset. And you were talking about where we are kind of as a university and what doors this is opening. I go back to that quote. It's once is by chance, twice is a coincidence, but 3 times is a pattern. With President Jim and the vision he's trying to sell, whether it's to the faculty, whether it's to the state legislature, whether it's to the alumni or the community, or becoming the Valley's team, the Valley's program, this is not a coincidence. This is not chance. This has become a pattern. We showed success for over a decade in FCS. We went to FBS. We have been successful amongst 2, coming into 3 new coaches. There is something here at JMU, which is the constant. And we even talked about with Coach Napier coming here from Florida and some of the questions about his Florida record. Florida right now is kind of on the opposite end of that, where I mentioned, they've fired their last 4 coaches over the last 15 years after Urban Meyer. So that's the constant there, where something there is not providing success, but something here at James Madison. And I can't even put my finger on it, because I don't think it's just one thing. That's kind of what's our strength is. I think it is so holistic, but there is something at James Madison that allowed Everett Withers to come here and be successful, that allowed Mike Houston to come here and be successful, that allowed Kurt Signetti, Bob Chesney, and now Coach Napier's coming into a program that is going to be coming off a college football playoff appearance. And I'll say this and I'll turn it over to somebody else, but shame on me, because I think a couple of years ago when we got that first top 25 ranking, I told a story, I think on this podcast, that I went to lunch that next Monday with a Virginia Tech Hokie, an LSU Tiger, and an Oklahoma Sooner. And LSU had just gotten knocked out of the ranking. Obviously, Tech hasn't been since 2018. We've addressed that. And Oklahoma was having their down year. I think they finished 5-7 that year. And I sat at that lunch table and I said, boys, there's one top 25 team at this table, and I'm just going to take my chance to spike the football, because I don't know if this is ever going to happen again. Well, again, shame on me. It's happened a lot, including right now, because LSU, Oklahoma, Virginia Tech, they're not in the college football playoff. James Madison is. Again, 3 times it's a pattern. This is JMU.
Well, to your point about this is JMU, Chandler brought up a really good point offline here that I think is really perfect for this moment, is that there was a real question when Jeff Bourne transitioned away from JMU about what would come next. He had stewarded this program and steered our ship through, multiple crises, had put us in position to continue to rise. And there was a real question at a time when we lose our football coach, you lose your basketball coach, new president, what would happen? And for Matt Rohn, with the guidance and help of some legacy administrators who have been there, like guys like Jeff Polglaze, guys like Roger Sankson, what Cliff Wood has done, and Scooter, and others who have done this alongside him, because I know Matt would tell us, don't make this about me. It's a remarkable accomplishment in such a short period of time to do that. Transitions are hard, and for us to be doing this now and reaching another height, as we said in the video that was launched in the collective, the leadership of these programs at JMU, their goal is to keep the ship on track. And not only has Rohn done that, he's brought us to a level that we had never experienced before. It's worthy of saying it, and we have had in a season, if you look at college football games, almost like an art gallery, we're going to do a reflection show at some point at the end of this season. And when I have a feeling we all go on our phones and start in August and go to December and look at all the images we have, it's a remarkable gallery of incredible accomplishments, both individual and group, that set this university up for the future. And it's just a beautiful thing. Michael.
Yeah, I'll take a positive twist on this. We mentioned a lot of the hate that's happening. I will say this. One thing I've noticed, remember all those American accounts that people were
coming back around, aren't they?
Going back and forth with, whether it's North Texas, Memphis. Look what they're doing. It's kind of rallying sort of this group of 6, G6, level together. And it's really cool to see, right? Seeing the group of 5 guys come in and supporting JMU, seeing the Herd Bros. I don't know who runs that account, but God
That's
bless.
great.
You're crushing it. I know you're a Marshall fan, and we really enjoyed our time out in Huntington, and we really enjoy that rivalry. But dude, you're doing the Lord's work with all these graphics. I see all of these G6, sideline. North Texas has our back. The Memphis guys are talking about us. The guy in group of 5 that does the Middle Tennessee State guys rallying around JMU. Like, it's really cool to see. And the fact that it's like, hey, it's not our fault that we're here. The team did everything they needed to do. But at the end of the day, Miami should have won X game. Notre Dame should have won X game, right, to be in there. UVA should have won X game, but they didn't. And there's consequences when you don't execute down the stretch. Because at the end of the day, all of this is meaningless, guys. We're talking about 22 people on a 100-yard football field, throwing a pigskin around, and that's it, right? And at the end of the day, you make the catch or you don't. You make the touchdown or you don't. You fumble or you don't. And you got to make plays. And at the end of the day, we did, and we put ourselves in this position.
Awesome. Guys, we've gone through a lot today. Final thoughts across the board. There's so many different ways you could kind of take this, but I know there's going to be lots more content this week as we digest the coaching hire on Wednesday and everything else that's going to come down the pipe, likely from JMU as more information, more details, more logistics information. But I'll go to you, Afton. Any way you want to take your kind of final thoughts on what's been not only an incredible weekend, but an incredible couple of weeks that are about to be in front of all of us. By the way, and it's happening during the holiday season. Crazy times.
Yeah, I'll just say this weekend just proves that the sky's the limit for this program. You'd think a couple years ago that college game day is the limit. FCS National Championship is the limit. 11-1 in the FBS is the limit. Bowl games are the limit. But now we're in the college football playoff. You have the whole group of 5 rallying around us in Tulane, saying, like, there's no way the group of 5 goes 0-2 because the Power 4 doesn't know how good the group of 5 is. You have a lot of Power 4 team fans going for JMU because, like you said, we're the underdog. We're not usually there. They want us to be the Boise. They want us to be the next UCF. They want us to be the next one up. I think it all just proves that for this program, no matter what happens, the sky's the limit, not just for football, but as a whole university as a whole.
Awesome. Taylor.
I feel like I do this a lot, but I'm going to do it again. It's the human element. At the end of the day, it is just a game. There's the opportunity to brag about your team, but it is just a game. And if it was just about the game, I don't think we'd be as passionate about this. But for me, it's everything that this game means. John and I were on a text thread earlier today with our buddy Brandon, who we have seen only a few times since graduation, but it's kept us together. I've mentioned him many times in this podcast. I have my career because of JMU Athletics. I have my wife because of JMU Athletics. I have my sons, James and Harrison. You can kind of pick up where their names probably came from because of JMU Athletics. I mean, there's something special that this does to unite a group of people around a common cause, around something that meant a lot to their life, because this team does represent your time at JMU. It represents your time on the quad, your time at D Hall and parties and friends. And it's just, there's a human element that is so much greater than how many points we score. And why we do get so excited and do get so passionate is this football game gives JMU and the JMU family and the JMU community an opportunity to magnify what it means to be in Harrisonburg and the Shenandoah Valley and Virginia, and really show the world the special place that this is, and perhaps provide that next opportunity for the next one of us. We talked last night that we all kind of got rallied around this team against the 04-08 seasons. And when that thing really picked up and started, well, the last couple of years has been that rallying point for some of those guys that are in the stands and the end zones doing tarps off for the fourth quarter. And the next 20 years of their life and their friendships and their careers and their spouses and kids are going to be impacted by what, again, at the end of the day is just a game.
Awesome. Michael.
I'll leave it at this. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that in 2023, when we lost to App State, I was disappointed because I thought, will we ever have this chance again? And don't lie. I know we're a Homer podcast. We've got the most purple sunglasses on, but I remember thinking we just lost this game in overtime. will we ever be a part of? At the time, it was the New Year's Six Bowls, right? It was those bowl games. Will we ever be in that conversation? Is this ever going to happen again? We didn't do the lawsuit, and less than 24 or just about 24 months later, like we're in it. And so I encourage everyone, if you're on the fence, I know it's the holiday seasons, go out to Eugene, go out, spend some time in the Pacific Northwest, like embrace this moment, because I'm going to say it again, and I mean this in the best way. When is this going to happen again? Will we have nothing is guaranteed? And I thought Mark Twain said it best, right? Years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did. And make the trip, book the ticket, right? Gather your tailgate friends along. I know some of us are going to be shacking up in a one bedroom, maybe not one bedroom, but a double bed in a hotel. We're going to make it work, right? Like, do that, right? Go back to your roots. Go hang out. Go get your buddies and make it work, and make it a 2-day trip. If you can go out and explore, make it happen. But it's going to be amazing, because in 12 days, there's going to be a sea of purple in Eugene. And I want to hear those JMU chants like we do at every away game, and show this program what we're about and support these players.
Awesome stuff. I want to vouch for you, because I felt those exact feelings. Yeah, after that app loss. I remember Chandler and I had a very, very similar discussion about, was like, is this it for us? And there was real anxiety and fear around it. So, yeah, bravo. Chandler, your final thought.
Yeah, I would just say I coach a youth team that we actually had a tournament this weekend. And one of the as the results came in, I was watching on my phone as we were warming up for our game, and I freaked out like a little kid, and they were all making fun of me. And they all instantly went BTA, and you all probably know, the youths definitely know what that phrase is. And you know what? I was like, I don't care. We probably will get beat and get the BTA. But you know what? We still made the 12-team playoff, and not many people can say that's a thing. And that the team that you root for, especially in the Group of 5 era, FCS, whatever era we have gone through, we can say forever, they'll never be able to take it away from us, that we made it to the college football playoff. Forever. Like, it's in the history books, no matter what anyone says. So soak that in. All the haters, you 14U Black Knights haters, and all over everywhere. Yes, you can say all you want, but guess what? JMU is in the college football playoff forever in the history books. That's all I got.
Yeah, those haters at the Black Knights. Are they in the playoffs? I don't know. No, they're not. They're done. So, yeah. Shame on you. My final thought is this, and it's something I've been thinking a lot about. Actually, two. Best thing I saw this weekend was Taylor's son watching the video of the announcement. It's on our social pages. That's what college football is all about. Seeing it through the eyes of a child who has watching his fandom and his passion for this program grow throughout this season. Him taking his shirt off in the stands, his genuine love of everything that happened with Marvel Day. It's just been so incredible to watch it grow through his eyes. Our kids pick kids who are going to be making their way out to Eugene, some of them taken off from school, classes be damned. And I think about what James is going to think 10 years from now or 15 years from now when he's talking about this. That to me is what this is all about.
Here you go.
And my, yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, they made it.
They made it. Sometimes a picture is worth anything better than we can say on this platform. So my task to the JMU people that are out there, if you can't do what Michael said and get out to Eugene, find a way to find a viewing party. JMU's going to do what they always do. They're going to organize them. They're going to be amazing. Get together, soak in as big of a group of JMU people as possible and embrace the moment. And at the very least, there is not going to be a day over the next 12 days. My wife, if she's watching this, will laugh and say it's every day. But I guarantee you I will have a piece of JMU paraphernalia on my body. Go to the grocery store with it. Wear the extra hat. Make yourself a walking billboard for this university. This morning at the gym, I gave a fist bump to a guy I'd never met before. I think he was a little bit surprised by it. that in and of itself can just show you how many more Dukes there are in your community. And it's going to be awesome because it's a rising tide that everyone can enjoy. It's the easiest part about this is just find other Dukes to embrace in some format to experience this together because it's special stuff. And then my last thing, shout out to everyone who makes this possible. There are so many people behind the scenes over the next 12 days that are going to do incredible work during a really tough time of year to make us have a great experience. The athletics staff, the ticketing staff, the Duke Club staff, the communications team that's going to be pumping out content. They're planning a coaching hiring event. There is so much happening behind the scenes. It's impossible to overstate the workload that's coming on these people during the holiday season where a lot of us are trying to wind down. So definitely wanted to give them their moment in the sun because they deserve it. And I hope at some point they get to pause and reflect on their incredible contributions throughout the year because it's really been special stuff. And with that, I'm going to promo. We're going to have all kinds of content this week. It's another big week in JMU history. Stay tuned. If you can make it up to Harrisonburg to the Atlantic Union Bank Center on Wednesday to meet the new coach of JMU football, that's another great opportunity to meet with some new Dukes and look towards the future of JMU football while also enjoying the present. But again, we're going to be covering all of that as well. And on behalf of Chandler, Taylor, Michael, Afton, a giant dose of gratitude for the growth of this platform. We have seen insane numbers over the last 72 hours. You're subscribing, you're liking, you're sharing, but also more importantly, you're giving us a window into how you're enjoying this run. And it's been special stuff. So thank you, Taylor. Find another way to do another sledding video down that mountain. That's just electric stuff, by the way. It's a little bit disappointed tonight you didn't wear the onesie, but we won't hold it against you. That by the way needs to make its way out to Eugene. The onesie is coming one way or the other. But on behalf of the team, our sponsors, Skyline Financial Partners, thank you for your support. Purple Nation, Champions Drive, Where's Woody, Shoker and Associates, the Dead Meat Society, Valley Road Vineyards, Outdoor Kitchen Creations. Thank you for your support of JMU Sound Off. Hey, Georgia, I know you're watching. And Don, good to see you guys. And we'll talk to you soon. As always, go Dukes. Back next Sunday. Another episode, JMU Sound Off.